Can you tell the audience about your award-nominated tour, The Chocolate Chip, and where can they see it?
Yes, I can tell. So The Chocolate Chip was an idea that I was supposed to take to Edinburgh back just before the pandemic. And I guess it was to deal with like where there were a lot of rising in racial tensions, like in the States and stuff like that as well. And I had begun this show where I guess I'm known for being very explicit about talking about race relations in the UK. And that can have its benefits and drawbacks. But I think normally people respond by being like, we have a class problem in the UK, not a race problem. Whereas I definitely argue we have both of those problems.
Yeah. More than one problem can exist at any one time.
Yeah.
And normally people will accuse you of having a chip on your shoulder. And I think the idea of the chocolate chip was that in a world of like body positivity, where people are like, I embrace my curves. I was like, well, I embrace my chip. And so affectionately. So that's where the name kind of came from. And it was just a weird thing because I started writing the show talking about like this complex of anger and stuff like that and what happens if that doesn't get addressed. And I swear, like I started it in Soho Theatre, and like the week after I started, George Floyd was murdered. And then, so people know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. So
but
then obviously I had to put the show on pause because of the pandemic. So this is kind of a show that I still think has relevance because it also happened around the same time that Meghan Markle was being involved with the wrong family, and basically a lot of incidences of rape.
The wrong family is a good way of describing it.
Wrong family.
She got mixed up with the wrong people.
The wrong crowd.
Poor girl, man. She met one of them. She didn't realize what they were about. She
was a little bit naive, a little bit green, a little bit green to it.
Yeah, she thought it was like Cinderella, didn't she? But really, it's charming, different kind.
This is it as well. I mean, it just speaks to the American educational system, really. That
it's not a fairy tale.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, Dee. Like, Britain is not a fairy tale, but I think there are a lot of people that believe it is, and so I basically put the show together to kind of talk about that experience, but also just to talk about the relevance of anger anyway. And I think that irrespective of whatever walk of life you're from, we are dealing with a lot of things, whether they're politically or economically, that should piss off everybody in this country. And so the show's validity of that, because normally when you say this is some fucking bullshit or this is bollocks, that's normally the first thing you say before you begin to change your reality. And
also, it's that thing. There is a weird thing, I think, in the modern landscape of this sort of contrarian commentator, where they sort of view any emotion or anger about anything, they sort of think it undermines an argument. I saw it yesterday. Do you know that in France currently is obviously got a series of riots because a 17-year-old was killed by the police, and I saw somebody do a tweet yesterday about how his mum was joining the protests, and they're like, she's not really doing anything to calm the situation down. It's like, why should she be calming the situation down? Her son got killed. She should be first and foremost. She should be mashing the place up.
Tell her to get some Darjeeling in her.
Exactly. It's all right. Calm down, love. Calm down.
Right.
Use your inside voice. Use your inside voice.
It's a weird one where it's like it's this sort of people that sort of say that I'm just being devil's advocate or something. Are always the sort of people that say like, well, you shouldn't lose your temper. It's like I think there's nothing wrong with losing your temper if you're upset about a valid thing.
My son's been killed, sorry, I should have meditated on that before I thought about my son being dead.
Mindful,
mindful of everybody else's feelings while I rearrange my son's funeral. I understand where you're going with that.
Yeah, and I feel like everyone has these examples whereby we've all experienced injustice directly or indirectly. And I guess the inspiration for the show was that we started seeing this rehashing of old war slogans like keep calm and carry on. And I was like, we just destroyed the entire Western economy in 2008. Like, how can people keep calm if you don't even know at the end of your working life if you're going to get a pension? There's just so many things that we can all agree would normally elicit, or at the height, a revolution like we were seeing in other. So that's kind of what the show's about. It's just being like, it's okay to get angry because that's normally when people get shit done.
Where can we see it though? Where do we actually view it?
Oh yeah, it should be out August the 4th. So I'm going to release it on YouTube. It'll be my first.
I'd actually really be interested in seeing that. My cousins are obviously My cousin had to move to London to be accepted. Apparently, there's no racism in Scotland. My cousin had to move to London because of his skin colour, because he wasn't my cousin, apparently, because of his skin colour when we were younger. And he lives in London now, where he can get peace to live. You know, so yeah, there's just class divide here, definitely.
Yeah. Exactly. And the thing is, when I was doing the show, I basically came up with a term which is placism, and placism, I guess, is the intersectionality of race and class. Because sometimes your race can predetermine what class people think you're in anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I also find is that, like, on the other side of it, and a phenomenon we're seeing more often nowadays is people who on the surface look like they represent historically marginalized groups are in many cases even worse than their white counterparts. And I think that also comes to the place that it's like, in order for you to have a certain place within society, you have to ignore certain things. So you have Braverman, who is the child of immigrants, who is staunchly against immigration, or her predecessor, Priti Patel, was like, if my dad tried to immigrate here, I wouldn't let him. Then you wouldn't have the fucking job. It's like the Back to the Future paradox. Like, you know, go back. Why you go back in time?
Thanks for making me, but fuck off.
Exactly. So it's kind of like that mentality where Trevor Phillips said that racism is not an issue in the UK. Trevor Phillips is the Minister for Racial Equality.
Yeah.
So if there's no racism in the UK, why the fuck do you even have the job?
Yeah.
I just think
they won't make a big deal of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's just a lot of frustrations that people are dealing with, which I think, and I just think, like you said, it's the way that people try to play down anger and talk about all of this like toxic positivity. Not everyone has the access and resources to psychiatric help. That's still a very new concept to most people, even receiving counseling or therapy for dealing with whatever issues they have. Acknowledging that mental health even exists amongst like working class communities is still very early, because for years, like if you're working class, you had a shit day, you go pub, and or you roll something up, and that's how that's what we're left to do is to suffer, and that's been, and I guess I want to look at more like it's not really about what people are using to self-medicate. What is happening in our environment that is pushing people to do this? And I just want to kind of bring it back and just be like, where this shows like my answer to like keep calm and carry on. It's like, no, get pissed off and change shit.
Yeah.